some of your favorite foods, including the ones that you give your children every day, are full of Monsanto's Roundup. And yes, it is poison. Incredible story. We've covered this from time to time. Monsanto, every time we cover it, we get ugly notes from them, ugly mail. We don't really do all that well. Yeah, you do. And just full disclosure, I'm actually suing Monsanto for their Roundup product. I'm actually taking depositions. I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm sitting there, witnesses down, and asking the witnesses questions. I'm seeing the documents that tell this story, and it's an ugly story. So tell us what we ought to be worried about right now as far as the foods that we're feeding ourselves and our family.
I mean, basically, look, Monsanto controls the seeds. They control the Roundups. They've got I think with about 4 other companies, basically control most of the agriculture.
About 85%, yeah.
In the world.
Yeah.
And so there's a good chance when you go to the store, buy something made from any kind of grain, wheat, corn, soy, it's contaminated with Roundup. And that's what these independent studies are showing us. Quaker Oats, Life, and Square cereal, Gerber and Beechnut baby oatmeal, Cheerios.
Yeah.
The most popular cereals in this country. People give it to their kids in little baggies as snacks throughout the day. All contaminated with glyphosate, which, by the way, remember we covered about a week or 2 ago, they've determined now there's basically no safe level
That's right.
of glyphosate.
Now, that's so important. Understand, no safe level, because the company didn't take time to establish a safe level, because the company ginned up studies, created false studies, gamed studies. This got onto the market, and once it got onto the market, it simply took off. And now we know it damages, there's genetic damage, birth defects, liver damage, kidney damage, blood cancers. So here, this is what's so interesting about this. We know it's in wine. We know it's in beer. We know it's in all these cereals that you're talking about. Basically, if it's rice or wheat or oats, you're going to have Roundup contamination, because Monsanto has tried to create this world where they control all the food, literally control all of the food. And once they control all of the food, you know what that means for everybody. They control all the seeds that control the food, then they control all the food. Very little possibility of that happening if we will pay attention to these stories. And the stories that are coming out are saying, look, we're testing people that haven't even worked around any kind of farm setting at all. They've had no exposure, no direct exposure to Roundup, and all of a sudden we're finding it in the food we eat, and they're finding it in the urine of people, weeks later. I mean, there's no question here. For somebody to say, no, this isn't so, you'd have to be a moron. I mean, really, this is so overwhelming. Now, when we do this segment on our site, there will be Monsanto trolls. And tell us about that part of the story people don't even know.
Well, that's what's really interesting about all this, too, is that Monsanto has hired, and they've been doing this for years. I've been attacked on Twitter by people that I have gone through and had to look back at their profile. They work for Monsanto. They're scientists there. So they do have their people, whether they're in-house or they contract it out. They go online, they work, they find these stories talking about how bad Roundup is or glyphosate, and they go out there and attack them. They try to attack people's credibility. They attack the sources that they use, saying, oh, well, this source, they're not reliable. You need to look at this study. And they'll redirect you to a
say they did
study. Yeah.
That they did. Tell us about that. There's a whole organization that they have a list of, honest to God, a list of professors in colleges, a list of scientists that will say anything you want them to say. It's a published list.
Right.
What's the name of that list?
It's AG Bio Chatter.
Yeah,
it's like an email list, basically. And Monsanto and all other corporations use
DuPont,
this.
Dow, Bayer, all of them.
And basically all they have to do is they type out an email, say, hey, look, we're looking for somebody to write about glyphosate because we promise you it's not nearly as bad as what the World Health Organization says or every single independent group. So could somebody maybe validate our claims, and then the scientists come in and say, hey, I'll do it for this, I'll do it for this.
It's worse than that. What I've found is the company, Monsanto itself, is actually writing the literature, right? Okay, so they write the literature that's going to be published and going to say, well, the World Health Organization got it wrong. That doesn't really cause cancer. And what we find out now, company wrote it, and these scientists, to be paid a couple of $100,000, say, yeah, I'll put my name on that, even though they know it's a lie. They know the impact, the health impact internationally is huge. Okay, so now we got Monsanto teaming up with Bayer. All right, now how ugly can that possibly get? You got the two companies on the globe that are probably in the top 5 companies sued more than any company on the globe. Now they're coming together to start BASF, because the truth is the rap on these companies is so bad they have to hide behind a new name.
Well, yeah, Bayer, immediately, I think it was like 2 days after the DOJ here approved the merger. It still has a little bit more to go through. But Bayer immediately came out and said, okay, great, we're going to drop the Monsanto name. We're not going to use Monsanto, as if that's somehow going to exempt them from all of the liabilities that company has built up over the last few decades. It won't. There's still...
Well, that's what they do.
Right.
Matter of fact, I caught DuPont, as we've talked about before, poisoning the water up in the Ohio River Valley. What DuPont tried to do was create another company and say to that other company, you're responsible for all the liability, all the death, all the poisoning, all the problems that you've caused internationally. You're responsible for that now. And oh, by the way, you probably don't have enough money to pay for all of it, so declare bankruptcy and we'll tie the whole thing up in bankruptcy court. That's kind of what we see happening here. Monsanto knows the gig is up. They know people are dying from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, blood cancers, a whole host of physical problems. So that's their next move.
Well, it's a corporate shell game, really. DuPont's done it. We've seen companies here down in South Florida do it when they buy an area where the water was just contaminated because they bought the corporation. They'll spin off a shell company, say, okay, you own the liability on this water thing, but we're going to fund you, $100 million, but you're facing $2 billion in liability.
Yeah.
So and I guarantee you, we have not seen it yet, but Bayer is going to try to do the same thing with Monsanto and maybe create, Bayer-Mon Chemical.
Yeah.
And they've only got a budget of $1 million.
But it's simply to say, we know we've killed all you people out there.
Right.
We know we've made your children sick. We know we've destroyed your waterways, now your food, your wine, your beer. We've destroyed all that, and now we know we're going to be sued. So we're going to create a company over here, and they're the ones that are going to be responsible for the liability, and then we're going to declare bankruptcy for that company. Life goes on in corporate America.